King's Row famously set in the Galar region. Anyway. It's a gamer reference real quick. Anyway, on the defense.
I can't
Talon,
relate, not a gamer.
Yeah, me neither, frankly. I just try and stay up to date for the sake of my Twitter profile. But Talon going to be sitting at pretty the same thing they were running to start with on Paris, so we'll have to see if they get a similar amount of success. Ooh, that's a nice pick.
Finding the Sombra, that's exactly what you want to see. Gagora just snipes him out there with that chain hook, and now Global Esports in a weird spot. Might have to look to pull back.
I mean, there's spy checking, and then there's that. Like, that is with utmost confidence. It's like, it's just spy finding.
Spy spying.
Yes. I spy with my little hook. Anyway, it doesn't really work. Luke does get rezzed at least, so they don't get slowed down too much more. Now still need to find a way to make the approach.
Oh, that could have been a sneaky headshot as well. Patapan was aiming that one up there. Is a Dragon Strike ready for Lil Rax, and Gagora living his life.
Yeah, Kim Butte certainly paid that one back. Goes, you know what, you pick me, I'll hack you out, pick you off. Dragon Strike comes across now. Xeon Flux, though, getting picked, frozen up and headshotted is a really rough way to go for Zenyatta. And now just starting to slowly but surely chip away here. Global Esports have the closer respawns. Now they find Muse, and that should be enough to finish breaking this one through.
It's closer respawns and then also Mercy on top of that for the Rares. So Global Esports now just holding on to player advantage. Still have ultimates available as well. So now after capping A, swapping onto a Bastion.
Hello.
This is going to be a pirate ship now going through the streets. Baptiste as well coming through from Faith. EMP to start things out. I do expect Kim Butte to possibly change as well very quickly after the EMP gets played.
Because it's England's pirate radio instead. It's like, that's the kind of pirate ships they had. It's less of the sort of yo-ho-ho, and it's more of the...
cap the map with
it's more of the
radio.
here is the Beatles. I don't know. They're going to see how this works. They've got the EMP that they should be able to leverage. It should make it a little bit harder for Talon to hold up against the Bastion for the first bit.
I will say the EMP has limited use here because you can't push into them necessarily. You can see here that maybe Talon can get alive.
The May wall into the cart, classic. It is only the one pick so far, but they have forced Talon back, and it's kind of the first part of the gambit. That's a really great blizzard there from Apudo. Freeze the gears, grind you to a halt. And with that, Talon are going to end up pushing Global Esports off the card with what was otherwise a great start to the fight.
This is part of the problem. You're playing a Bastion, which is, okay, you want to be sticking onto the card, but then you're playing in a Sombra where, and I even said, look, okay, they want to use EMP first. That's fine, but they can't aggress onto their own EMP. So they drop the EMP, then Lil Rax walks forward and tries to get some stuff done there, maybe tries to avoid a few members of Talon along the way as well because he was taking a bit of damage, but ends up just being way too far away from his own team, way too far off from the cart, and goes down pretty quickly. It's going to go on to the Mei Hanzo combination here, same as what Talon are running. Ultimates on both sides, different ones though. It's going to be the double tank ones and Patapan for Talon. Global Esports double support.
So you can't just walk the Bastion back to the cart, so they are just behind the 8 ball now in terms of ultimates. Supercharger just kind of sat pretty there. They get back under it, and that's also the Immortality field as well. The Amplification Matrix. Global Esports going all in with the few ultimates they actually have at their
Gagora lives.
It's a really fight they do get to reclaim possession of the cart. For now, Blizzard once again able to come out from Apudo, though has already recharged that one. And off the back of that, they're going to again be able to take the fight win, force Global Esports back, recharge up some of those other ultimates, and Global Esports still need to find some kind of ultimate advantage.
As a classic Englishman would say, absolutely filthy. I'm talking about Brennan Hook here because look at this. Gagora was on to no HP, walks away, still alive after being caught out in the open. The Amplification Matrix was down for Global Esports. I think Kim Butte kind of whipped his own wall there, blocked off sight lines, but then Apudo definitely walled off that Matrix. And Gagora really should have went down there. Global Esports should have had the player advantage. Now going to the next attempt, they already lose faith.
Yeah, they were hoping to throw out the Dragon Strike to get some space there, force Talon back off the cart, maybe even find a pick, but instead they lose faith in the rotation, and now CQB with that long firing line goes, you know what, I can set up an Amplification Matrix here, get us a couple more picks while they try and retreat. So Talon, honestly, getting a lot of value on the defense right now.
Yeah, not a bad reset from Global Esports, though. They did maintain half their lineup here. Only 3 members went down, and that could have been much worse. Could have been a staggered kill there somewhere on another member retreating back to spawn. So relatively safe for them. We have to see how they want to approach this next attempt, because couple of ultimates are coming online, notably the Amp Matrix can be pretty big for them.
It's going to be self-destruct, tossed up by Xenofly. Patapan's already found him, though.
No, remake, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate one to go down in that, and that's Blizzard out from Kim Gute is decent, but they can't quite get the finish off. The May Walls catches a couple of people up against the arch roof there, but they are going to be able to escape from that. Don't quite take enough damage. They are separated, though. Talon is currently stuck in two hubs, and the amplification matrix stops the two hubs from recombining for the purposes of this fight, nor are they in a great position to retreat from. So Global Esports finally finding the fight they need. Nice immortality field there to save Little Rax after getting hooked. And with that, barring an act of God here, I do feel that Global Esports should get back in control of this, but man, Muser's going to make it take a while.
Honestly, I think Talon could have gotten away there. They already were kind of saved by Kim Bute's Icefall briefly, and then, okay, you see the amplification matrix come down. For Faith, if you're Talon there, you don't need to contest with your supercharger. Muser's like, all right, let's fight fire with fire. But really, if you just leave that position, wrap around the backside of B, and meet it with your own team again, that Ant Matrix was only angled for that one alleyway. The Ant Matrix wasn't going to do anything else. Talon could have reset much cleaner there and possibly have still won the fight, but I think they got a little bit too aggressive and paid for it.
There's still one more opportunity here. They might still end up holding this on B in some fashion, but the supercharger is going to make it a little bit more difficult to fight into. That's really all Global Esports have left in the tank, though, until that amplification matrix comes up. Talon right now just digging deep into the pockets. The amplification matrix with the whole hog running through it is pretty brutal.
It's a lot of zoning.
Leap there. The freeze not quite able to come through thanks to that transcendence, or at least not able to get the kill there, not able to get the damage through. Talon have started to use a lot more of their ultimates now, starting to run a little bit drier, and we start to see some kills coming through the way of Global Esports as well. Certainly not out of this fight yet. They need to get a lot more value. It's just a little bit dicey as Little Rax gets picked off, and now the counter trade's starting to come through for Global Esports.
So Talon still have a few members alive here. Mortality field just keeping whoever is here going for the time being, but the camper's going to go through eventually, and this is going to be a big cleanup now. A few late deaths for Talon. It's going to really stop them from reapproaching this cart in any timely manner, and Global Esports needs as much snowball as they can get.
Certainly feel that there could have been a hold somewhere on B for Talon, especially how they came into that final fight. They did have some sort of advantage, but credits to Global Esports just playing it safely, playing it patiently, and actually going one-to-one against Talon a lot of the time. Now early pick on CQB.
A lot of that actually came down to Faith as he had the Ant Matrix down really quickly after the last usage. Got a lot of value out of that one now as they push through. Double Dragon Strike on both ends.
The Dragons have struck, they have spoken, and well, Talon have judged Global Esports unworthy here. They are not going to be able to quite keep up that momentum, and that was with an otherwise great early pick out. With that, Global Esports going to have to figure out how to get back onto this with about 30 seconds left.
It's a huge slowdown as well because, you needed to see a big snowball push come through from Global Esports if they are going to be able to cap this map at all. Kim Butte over to the Widowmaker means you do need a bit of time for him to find these headshots, and if you don't get these picks and you need to secure the kills, one headshot into Gagora that doesn't end up being a kill, sadly not good enough.
One pick coming out onto Global Esports could just end it right there and then.
Another Ant Matrix.
The application matrix out, they get a Pudo just before he's able to duck back into cover. And huge headshot onto Gagora through the Ant Matrix. Actually kills him incredibly. That's going to be Global Esports with enough to at least get back on the cart. The question is, can they then get through the ends here, having to use the Transcendence? I don't know if that was ultimately necessary.
We have 4 ultimates on the side of Talon Esports, and this is where you want to see them
Nice
back in,
headshot.
except that's a member down already, so no more Blizzard, no more Whole Hog, no more Nano Boost, and no more point defense available for Talon Esports. A nice cap out from Global Esports.
And you can see the world where Apudo at least gets out, at least gets the Blizzard down, throws himself on the cart, gets into the ice block. You start to see the other members come out, Muse on the Wrecking Ball. You can see how with the ultimates, if they were able to get in the fight, they could have still held it out. Instead, that pick alone probably finished making the space. This was really big, by the way, early. So he did actually know that Kim Butte was there, but
this is funny because Kim Butte un-invis in front of Gagora.
You'd like to think he could hear Gagora coming up the stairs like...
I do want to talk back about that last push as well, and I want to talk about Faith here in 2 different ways. A, that we did kind of mention... Well, I'll say it from my end. I kind of mentioned that I wasn't so sure about Faith's real ability to really step up on the Batiks role, but 3 out of 3 of his most recent Ant Matrixes were all high value. Every single one of them. The first one, which happened just to your left here, towards this alleyway, I still think Talon could have walked away from. So you'll say that Talon maybe gifted that one, but the other 2, definitely huge. Global Esports popped that one down to get the B point cap, and you mentioned, look, B felt like a very defendable space for Talon. Didn't work out because the Ant Matrix get dropped down right at the right time, got the amount of damage. Same again onto C. The Ant Matrix just dropped down at the perfect time for Global Esports to secure those kills. The second part of this is faith in the sense that having the faith of your members, Commute swapping over to Widow, it's not really a normal thing you see going to that final push. You need to be relying on the possibility of these big headshots coming through, and he got them. He lands them through the Ant Matrix, and they were big.
Speaking of Faith, now Faith's going to be rolling out on a Brigitte. Really not something we've seen since the 2-2-2 lock, at least not a whole lot of, and this is a very interesting team comp out from Global Esports.
As a reminder, this version of Brigitte is not the PTR version with the 3 health packs. This one is still the regular Brigitte 500 shield. Not great as a main healer. It means Global Esports have to get quite aggressive to make sure that her passive goes through.
That's a massive pick off there. It feels like a lot of this team comp is about Little Rax being able to go in, get shielded up, and maybe find a pick. But honestly, the Immortality field throws a big enough spanner in that works in the first place, and well, with Little Rax dead, it's not even a possibility to begin with. Now Xenofly gets hooked and finished off, and Talon looking like they're just going to straight walk onto this point.
I think Global Esports here got trying to get a little bit tricky. They are going to claim a pick on their way through, but ultimately it's not going to stop the push from Talon from succeeding, and this is now going to be a risk that ends up costing Global Esports the A-point defense entirely. In fact, it may cost them a little bit more because there will be a slow push through from Talon now as Global Esports reset their comp.
That's going to be really rough. That's just extra space, extra time. The payload does still have to come out. Little Rax is going to change anyway, but I mean, you would have liked to have died.
They all have to change. They've wasted that comp now.
So Talon just taking that position, waiting for the cart to catch up. And they've got the ultimates to back up this push as well. The amplification matrix there already from CQB could just be enough if they end up in a pitched battle here.
And really what Global Esports want to do is just absorb the ultimates. If they can get the ultimates out of Talon Esports, maybe back up their lives, that would already be mission accomplished. But as it stands, they're going to get caught.
And it's 2 ultimates so far, though, out from Talon. It's the Amplification Matrix and the Dragon Strike. Might not mind the Amplification Matrix too much. You can charge it relatively quickly, but that is also more space, more time, more momentum still for Talon.
I want to talk about the second point you made, because time is the most important thing. In terms of the fact that Global Esports had to wait until the overtime to actually cap B, Talon are going to do this possibly within the next 30 seconds, and Global Esports are not going to mount their real defense where they are stabilized until we get to the C point, in which case Talon are just going to finish the map.
And that's the thing, let's also note that because Global Esports cap C in overtime, if Talon cap with more than a minute remaining, Global Esports don't get a chance to attack, they just have to defend. It's a very aggressive Blizzard as well, and sort of ends up paying off though. At least it stops Global Esports from approaching this point to stop the cap from going through without just forfeiting their lives. They chose the latter of the 2 options, forfeit the lives. Well, Talon will still take that fight and that cap.
Well, I'll tell you what else they forfeited. 2 ultimates there as well. You saw the Supercharger, you also saw the Nano Boost, the Onflux now changing over to the Zenyatta instead. And this is where you want to see them dig in their heels, and where you would have liked to see them really go into the ultimates, which they took various fights to build up on. But Talon still got momentum. This is a hook as well.
They've got the whole hog, they've got a nano boost for damage, they'll soon have another amplification matrix, so they've got all the tools required to just keep pushing their way forward here, especially if you keep getting these hooks that just hamper your opponent. But that's a nice hook into the Blizzard, they'll halt into the Blizzard rather. 2 kills going through the way of Global Esports, getting a good amount out of just that Blizzard, but Talon do hit back just as hard, in fact deciding that they are not done with this fight. That's Xeon getting finished off, and Patapan just unlocked in this fight, now self-destruct. Does zone these members for a moment, but Xenofly is certainly not going to remech. And Talon, the members that died, have rejoined the fight already.
And Global Esports right now just trying to brace upon this avalanche rolling down the mountainside for Talon Esports. Gagora went down, sure, he's back now. Ant Matrix on both sides. Who's got the damage? Patapan does.
He's found Kim Yute, and they'll happily take this pitched battle once again. Dragon Strike does rake across from Little Rax, but it will not find the damage, will not find the kills, and there is
he's got the damage
left to contest that cart. That's going to be Talon pushing it through with an incredible amount of time in the bank. And, well, like I said, because they cap with far more than a minute remaining, they actually only have to cap a third of A with more time than what you would get in regulation time.
Yeah, 404 point found.
404 defense not found.
Pretty much. At this sort of point here, you do have to look at Global Esports. That gambit they made on A definitely didn't pay off. More than did not pay off. It was so risky for them to go for a Doomfist Brigida-based composition. It completely fell flat on their faces, and not only cost them that point, but I would argue cost them this entire defense because they never stabilize forever, even on the C, where this is where you expect them to really do well. And this is the point where that was a better fight for them. Right before Panapan smashed them through the teeth, this is where it started to look better for Global Esports. But by this stage, Talon had Global Esports on the ropes. We were only like on the second round of this boxing match, and the knockout punch happened.
And that's the thing. I mean, Talon are just a cut above the rest right now. We are seeing it time and time again, demonstrated in every way, shape, and form. Even when Global Esports look like they are leveling up, even when they come in, they get the full cap out. They don't just get full held like they did on Paris. Talon still prove that they are far above and beyond what Global Esports are capable of.
So this time around, no sneaky business. They're going to play standard here. It's going to be the Mei Hanzo combination. Talon will match entirely, and this is where I like to see Global Esports get a decent start like they did on Nepal. Lean into that to maybe find a hold here. The draw is possible. Look, it's a very small chance, but you'll take any chance you can get if you're Global Esports.
You'll take any pick you can get if you're Talon, because one just about guarantees it.
Take
two is even better, and well, what's the thing? 3's a crowd, or is 3 a cap? I think it's the latter at this point, and only the 1/3 required for said cap. Let's just get the whole lot. Let's take everybody out on the town for the night, and with that, Talon finding themselves 3-0 up in the series at match point, just one game away from punching a ticket to Gauntlet.
And this is where Global Esports, you're bleeding over the ring right now. The ref is counting you down. You try and get up one last time. I'm good to fight, and then Talon just smack you for that last punch, and then straight out there, Panapan got, what, 3 of the last 6 kills there on that last push as well. Disgusting performance on the Hanzo overall. Delivered them that C push on that final attempt, and Kings Row, we got to the time bank. We'll say that was good for Global Esports. We'll say that's an improvement over, say, Paris. It's an improvement on the fact that Nepal, they didn't get a point there. This has been the only map where they've actually gotten points. It's been 0-0. They finally get 3 here, and now they're against a team sitting at match point who are favored to win anyway.
Yeah.
It's just Escort that is the final hurdle for Talon Esports and for Global Esports. How tall can they make this hurdle? Can they make this into like a high jump thing instead of just a, just a running race?
Tell you what,
they're going to need it.
I think the map score on Kings Row is the only 4-3 we're going to be seeing over the course of the night. I don't expect the reverse sweep to come out, and a lot of that is actually off the fact that, look, you take Kings Row, you remove the static point, and don't mean Kings Row exactly, but you take Hybrid, remove the static point, and you've got yourself an escort map. It's not like the mobile parts of the map went any better for Global Esports than the static part of the map, both on the offense or the defense. In both instances, Talon was just a better team, better on the offense, better on the defense, and you expect that to continue to ring true here on Escort. We also start to look at the situation where so far Global Esports have loosely benefited from having the map pick. That is still the case here, but you look at the Escort pool, and I don't see any particular map that's that extra bit more favored for them, like what Paris and Kings Row at least were.
I will say that Rialto, for me, is going to be their map pick, and for the reasons, again, that we really need to see May Reaper again. I think if you are Global Esports, if you fail to play May Reaper again, if you fail to go to the right map to get into May Reaper, this is going to be your series done. And maybe your series is done anyway if you go into the May Reaper mirror, but that's your best shot.
Yeah.
You need to take your best shot right now, and I don't think Global Esports have been able to do that, at least compositionally. The best shot has been Nepal, despite that being a 2-0. That was a close 2-0. You look at the percentage points on those 2 rounds, that was winnable for Global Esports.
Certainly.
I don't think the other 2 maps were realistically winnable for Global Esports, so we got to go back to what's been working.
You'd certainly like to say so. Control is a little bit of a different beast, unfortunately, for Global Esports compared to Escort, and it's not even compositionally speaking. It's, again, you just look at how the sort of the pace and passage of gameplay operates. You still end up favoring Talon, if only because of how those same parts of Hybrid worked out for them. But look, stranger things have happened, right? I'd like to even see a world where Global Esports at least push Talon hard enough to maybe even take a map off them still. Yeah,
I definitely don't think we're going to Dorado. That one you can rule out for sure. Havana, I think you have a good chance of, but I think Rialto has to be the go-to here.
See Dorado
and
now.
Despite being... I definitely think, look, this should be now 4-0 for Talon. I think we probably thought it was going to be 4-0 anyway, walking in to this particular grand final. I think across the board, you put up any of the other 7 teams against Talon in this grand final, probably 4-0. So, well, it's not even anything negative really about Global Esports. That's just a state of where the strength of Talon lies in this region so far. However, whoever goes up against Talon, finding themselves in this particular situation, needs to now play their best hand. This is where you go all in. You're at the final table now. Gretz, you made it. There's like a couple hands left to be played, and pot's looking pretty big. Talon's holding all the chips right now. You got a few left, and you got to slowly, get those back into your side of the table.
About having an ace up your sleeve.
I don't know that they have. I don't think they have one.
I think that's called cheating, actually. But
no, they don't.
I think, yeah, exactly. And they're too.
Whereas Talon have 6 aces, 7 aces up their sleeves.
Just a whole hand of aces. How do they get 5? I don't know. But at any rate, I almost kind of wish Kings Row was the final map, purely because it would answer that question, wouldn't it?
What question?
Kings Row, whose is it? It's Talon's. They're the one who would win it. But look, they could still end up winning overall here. They're still certainly expected to win. And we talk about this team being what would be, if they take that win, the first team to actually win 2 consecutive seasons of Contenders Pacific, having already established themselves as the only team to win 2 seasons full stop. And they get that bonus of going to Gauntlet. Talon are getting it all this year. It is their year in the Pacific region.
I'm going to say, to throw Global Esports a bone here, if they can take Escort and we go to Control next, I think that's going to be a good game mode, for Global Esports, and they can take that one as well. So that could be a potential 3-2 scoreline by the time we get to map 6. I still don't necessarily think that's going to be a victory for Global Esports at the end of the day.
It's certainly how we
might
get there.
We might end the grand final at a 4-2 scoreline. But I think realistically, where do Global Esports find their next couple of wins? Well, they have to win Escort. They have a decent shot at then taking whatever the control map is going to be. And that's where you got to start this comeback, if you make one at all.
Yeah, F, right? And like we said, the first part of that would have to be taking the Escort. And if you're unfamiliar with that game mode, well, here's how it works.
Welcome to WATCHPOINT Gibraltar. This is Escort. 2 teams face off as either defenders or attackers. This is the payload. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to escort the payload along a set path containing 3 checkpoints. The payload only moves forward when an attacker stands near it. Defenders can delay the payload's movement by standing nearby at the same time. To get moving again, attackers must clear away the defenders by force. Every time the payload reaches a checkpoint, the attackers score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. If even one attacker is near the payload when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until the attackers are either cleared off the payload or they gain more time by reaching a checkpoint. The round ends when the payload reaches the destination or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points and escorts the payload farthest wins.
Well, Kevin, call you some kind of prophet. We are indeed going to go to Rialto. That will be our next map. That will be potentially our final map. Once again, Global Esports get the pick. They feel they had the best shot on Rialto, and I would agree with them, but I feel like comparatively, they've had a better shot on Paris and Kings Row. Neither of those worked out, so can they step it up now at the very last opportunity?
I will still say that I don't know. I think Rialto could go better than both Paris and Kings Row, where there's a decent amount of points here. Where again, if you can lead into Reaper May, which they should be looking to, that's where they can find their victory. And I did not consider Paris or Kings Row realistically a winnable map for them. I thought Nepal could have been. That would have been a decent start. But Rialto's going to have to be, because now we're in that space now. The 4-0 is looming over your heads. It's coming down like a swift guillotine, and right now,
that was Paris you're thinking about.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Italy didn't do that to their
confused.
royal family. I'm not sure what they did do to them, but, well, they don't have one anymore. I don't think Italy ever had, like, a single royal family, because they were like a series.
They had multiple royal families.
Yeah, there was like a series of kingdoms in there, and a pope. They just I mean, there's still a pope, but that's, I mean, I don't know. It was a different, that did happen. That did happen at one time. Two people said that they were actually the real pope, and they both excommunicated each other. So just for a while, nobody really knew who the pope was. That was a bit wild. Not like I was alive then. I say like I was there, like, oh yeah, I remember. That was wild. Back in the 1100s, crazy days in Italy. At any rate, though, let's go to Italy. It's still crazy days. Well, hopefully crazy days on Rialto. Let's get stuck in. Could be the final appearance, the final performance of both of these teams. Talon looking set to not fall short of the mark and complete their 4-0, complete their utter dominance of this season.
And it's going to be the double sniper start for Global Esports. Talon still playing the Mei and Hanzo combination. Kim Butte, it's going to make his presence felt early on.
Yeah, that's an oof in the chat for Mango Jai there. Now just looking to pick up maybe someone like Patapan would be ideal, but certainly Talon already have to cede a lot of ground. So this is a successful start for Global Esports.
Insanely good flank here as well. The off angle being claimed, very quickly pushed away, I'll say. But Talon Esports are on the back foot early on.
Starting to sort of dig in their heels a little bit with that amplification matrix. Nice hook onto Luke is going to allow them to finish him off. But now demacking Xenofly, and suddenly all that momentum for Global Esports just gets completely turned back around. Talon found a line in the sand and stuck behind it.
I think if Kim Butte, if he landed another shot on that flank, he took that extra kill, kept that player advantage pressure up. This is where Global Esports get a nice run through A, and the pressure is just too much for Talon to bear with. But for now, after that aim matrix came through, Talon Esports are looking far better, and Global Esports, the damage has kind of stopped for now. They need to find where the next pick could come through.
Well, hey, there it is. That's a pretty ideal one as well. Possibly even better than finding Mango Jai in that situation.
Trade.
Nearly found him. There we go. Does get the finish off on Little Rike, so it ends up being a full-on trade. Kim Butte as well. They get the res, but I don't know that that's particularly safe. May still just go down, even with the Mercy in the pocket. And Gagora not going to get punished for it. Kim Butte only just getting topped up as Xenofly is demacked, and Global Esports just not making any headway anymore, even when they get that opening pick.
And there's a ton of ultimates available for Talon Esports as well. Xenofly with a late death there to reset his mech, and Faith dying even later. Just means that Global Esports running out of time. 2 minutes gone, that's half their time elapsed, and for Talon, just don't look like they're all too much feeling it.
Goodness gracious me, and you would have liked to have seen them get a little bit more distance on that very first pick that they got. Xeon Flux is also totally cut off from his team.
He'll be taken down.
Finds him. That's absolutely awful for the man, and it's just more time lost as the res was committed onto Little Rack, so Global Esports still just no good options to go forward here without just getting a miracle pick.
It's a scary looking pig, and I'll tell you what, if the Fable went, that was the pig in the Fable, I mean, they wouldn't be, Wolf would just walk away.
Be like,
Sorry, Mr. Pig, I seem to have knocked on the wrong door here.
Not taking this fight. Oops. Let me just see myself out. That's going to be the whole hog coming out as well.
That'll
the
be
old
some kills.
Huff and blow the house down. Global Esports, 1 minute remaining now, with not a lot to show for it.
They got 5 ultimates, nearly 6. I'll say on that part they have a decent amount of show, but they got to get the value, because that's the thing. Because Talon also have 5 ultimates available, it doesn't feel as powerful. Both teams have roughly got the same thing here. I value the Matrix quite a decent amount here. Valkyrie's going to be okay, but I think Patapan could just take you down pretty quick if that happens also.
Also got to say I value the Blizzard here, and there's only the Transcendence from Xeon Flux to help deal with it. Mango Jai pops an early Transcendence here, actually. Maybe a bit too early, but the Blizzard came out as well. No one's gone down yet, so this has maybe been an overcommitment for Talon. Certainly Global Esports presented with an opportunity.
It's 2 ultimates aside, though, so it's even. And in this even case, Talon is still feeling pretty good because they have the point control here. And like you said, double supercharger, and the first kill comes for Gagora.
It's a really unfortunate one. Xeon Flux going down, and just when the fight seems to get to an even state, Global Esports still can't actually find the upper hand, even with 2 great kills coming out from their DPS duo. It goes back in for a res. They know that they're in the overtime. They're in for a penny, in for a pound here, or maybe in for a lira. I believe that used to be the currency of Italy. They don't seem to have many coins in the pocket, many ducats to show. And with that,
you know, it's bad when Faith is the one that has to touch the point right now. Global Esports just running out of members. Gagora's going to keep them all off. The keep away game is strong. Talon should be looking for the hold now.
And what's that? The House of Bricks that gets blown out at the very end.
There's a lot of bricks on this part of the map, I would have to say. Lil Rax, the final member, trying to put some feet on there. Not going to happen for them. Mango Jaya to secure that with the Transcendence as well. That's not going to be the push. That is a really rough way to end your attacking phase for Rialto. Map 4, match point for Talon Esports. 1 attack now for Talon, and they're going to be the champion.
And they don't even have to get the payload that far. At least it got around that second corner. That's maybe something we do see payloads get caught on that first corner, get stuck there when the defense is totally iron tight. This is that. This looks like
that horror survival game.
Yeah.
I hope the monster doesn't see me.
It's terrifying. It's genuinely terrifying. I'm glad he doesn't have that. Oh, is it the lunar skin where he's like fully got the pig mask on and everything? That would be horrifying.
He is just a. Which one are you talking about?
I can't remember the name of it, but like Roadhog has literally got a pig face.
He is a pig. He's not just got a pig face.
Yeah.
He is his entire.
That's even more
thing
terrifying to me, is what I'm saying.
He's just a full pig.
I'm glad it's not that. That would genuinely be like a horror movie.
Well, I'll remember that when I want to scare you next.
Just be a pig.
Just be a pig.
Not a pig mask. Be a pig.
Just actually be a pig. Well, I got an appetite, so I'm partway there. Global Esports.
Your words, not mine.
Rather, Talon Esports partway there also for their victory.
Talon already partway around the globe, by which I mean they are already in Korea. They have been there the whole season. It's like there's like
no travel required. They're already there.
Was that a bit presumptuous, or were they completely within justification for doing that?
It's like, where's Scotland next year? We'll move there right away. We'll see
set.
We're confident.
And I mean, that is what is on the line. Need we say it any more times? Talon, they secured the seed. They want to take that spot. They have earned it for sure. It's now just about securing it.
It's going to be May Widowmaker. I will say this is not the most common comp that you see run, but look, they're going to make it work, and Patapan won't be stopped, neither will the rest of Talon.
I mean, it maybe just feels like the greatest hits of Talon DPS. You've got Aputo on the May. He's played so much this season. You got Patapan on the Widowmaker, and that's it. Almost 0.63 meters. Final fight.
One push to rule them all.
That's got to be it as the king looks to sit on his throne once again. The peasantry broke through to the castle, but they could still not execute the king. He stands, he fights, he wins. Our first consecutive back-to-back champions, now 3 tied champions, first dynastic team of the region. Talon Esports are the best.
One team to bind them all, and in the Pacific, I can't remember how to finish that.
Yeah,
binds them.
4-0
here, like you said, 3-time champions now. We haven't even had a 2-time champion before Talon rolled up on the block. Now they've won 3 times. First time to go back-to-back as well. Going back to the international event, they represented PAC at the Showdown. They're now going to represent PAC once again at the Gauntlet. This is the team of the year in the Pacific region. Absolutely. 2019 is undoubtedly Talon's year. They have completely won this year of Overwatch in this region for this competition, and they're reaping the rewards, and I'm excited to see how much further they can get, because the rewards don't stop here.
As the thing, it almost feels like they saw the announcement for Gauntlet like right at the top of the year, and they're like, it's going to be us. They set that goal, obviously, very firmly, as I expect most Contenders teams around the world did, but Talon really had what it took to actually get there. And I mean, this is in a region that wasn't even guaranteed a seed in Gauntlet anyway. They actually first had to put in the hard yards of earning that seed. And when we say reaping the rewards, they are absolutely reaping what they have sowed. This isn't something that they've taken from someone else. This isn't the Iron Islands, right? They are paying well, actually, it doesn't really work. They're putting in the hard yards is what I'm saying, because the point of paying the gold price is like you're not putting in the hard work, you're just buying it. But I mean, the Iron Islands have a stupid philosophy anyway. Talon have a brilliant one. It is, if we put in the time, if we get the best talent in the region under the best leadership, we put in the hard work, then we can get that spot for Gauntlet. We can make it to Gauntlet. And now the question will be, how far within that will they go? Are they going to silence the world as they look upon what this team can accomplish?
Let's remind ourselves as well, among the 4 maps in this grand final. Yeah, grand final, remember, this is what this match was. Only 1 map looked even relatively close. The other 3 were washes, totally in favor of Talon. You have to look at the entire season also. Across the whole second season here of Contenders, it's been a complete wash outside of one map. That one map that got away from Talon. Yeah, well, they'll get over it eventually. I'm sure they'll go to Gauntlet, and who cares at that stage?
Yeah.
But the point is, they've been so completely dominant over the course of the whole season. It's been unprecedented across the history of Overwatch in this part of the world, because even when we look at the next most dominant team and the next most dominant season that we've had back in OPC Season 2 with Ardium, that wasn't even this completely dominant.
Not even, and that feels absurd to say. Like, look, it's a different time, it's different teams, it's a different context, but let's not forget that, like, most of those players have gone on to Overwatch League. That's what their dominance earns them. Now, you can bet your bottom dollar. Literally every player in Contenders would love to get that Overwatch League offer knocking at the door. And I think with a season this dominant, hopefully a strong performance at Gauntlet as well, could have those offers rolling in for some of these members of Talon who we know have been exceptionally strong for a number of years. It's like that finally comes to a fruition of sorts. It finally gets to be shown and demonstrated. It feels like, again, in the even broader sense, these players on this team are finally able to reap what they have sowed.
And better yet, I mean, this is now also proving themselves to be a bit of a meta-proof team where, okay, it wasn't just last meta with the 3-3. They looked good there. They looked good when they started transitioning over to DPS as the meta did evolve towards the end of that regular season as well, but now going to 2-2-2, going over into future patches where, Sigma will be a thing as well. We're going to have proper roll-lock 2-2 kind of balance changes come into effect. Talon should be a safe team. They should be a safe bet. They should be a team that can handle anything the meta throws at them. They have the depth in the roster. They have the depth in the hero pools and the lineup to make it work, and they've been proven time and time. And, let's not even use this season. Let's look at last season. Across 2 seasons now, across multiple seasons even before that, it's like this team has just been solid throughout.
And I think that's quite an incredible thing. I mean, even in the context of this current season, we're already seeing big shifts in fortune for a lot of teams around the world. But like you say, Talon, they seem to be that more meta-proof team. Whatever incarnation of this team exists moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised if we can expect much the same out of them in future years, in future seasons of Contenders Pacific. And I mean, on the whole, I think this is, like we said, this is now a defining team in Pacific. It feels like we've entered a new era of the Pacific region's history. We've gone from that revolving door of champions, of teams coming and going, of massive swings in changing fortunes. We've entered a new era of Talon dominance, and I expect it to be an era that lasts for some time. And I expect that by the time we reach the end of that era, the entire region is going to be a lot stronger for the experience. Because from this point on, if you can't compete with Talon, you don't have a shot, and every team is going to have to work to get up to that level.
Yeah, we've seen now, Trials even step up here, where recent Trials teams made a really good run. Fire Society made it as far as semi-finals. So I think at every level of play in the Pacific region, that has started to happen, and certainly at the very highest level, that's happened in just complete waves. I mean, this has just been the most incredible season for Talon so far. It's over on this side of the world, but where they are technically in Korea right now, the work continues, the grind continues. The rest of the rewards still yet to be claimed still lie ahead of them. They've had a fantastic year. They will continue to have a fantastic year, and after that, I guess 2020 is going to be very interesting for Talon as well. See if they can hold on to that.
And in the context of Pacific, the journey ends here. Talon now 2-time winners, and you see the scores, the 3-0, the 4-0. And with the regular season behind them as well, only that one map loss. It is about as close to perfectly dominant as a team can get. And with that, they punch their ticket to Gauntlet, where we get to see once again how far they will be able to go. It's been an incredible season for this team. I can't wait to see what they accomplish at Gauntlet, much in the same way I couldn't wait to see what they would accomplish at the Pacific Showdown, and they showed up at Showdown. I think it's fair to expect maybe something of the same at Gauntlet, and I think that is almost us for the season here.
And I think they know as well that they still wanted a little bit more at the Showdown. They knew they despite claiming a seed for the Pacific region, they wanted to go further. They didn't want to be knocked out where they did get knocked out. They want to see how far they can go, and they want to use this opportunity now going to Gauntlet to be able to prove that they could have done better, that they have the longevity, they have what it takes to push to even greater heights, which await them later down on the line.
It's going to be a very tough crowd, though, there, you can imagine. And I'm not just talking about the audience. It's going to be a number of very dangerous, very deadly teams over in NA. We've got, assuming they end up winning the series, we've got the team that actually did pull off that perfect season that Talon just barely fell short of in the form of Atlanta Reign. You could maybe expect them to be heading there. Teams like Envy. You've got so many incredibly strong teams. We're still yet to see who's really going to come out top dog in Korea, but it could be the likes of O2 Blast, whom they came up against and lost resoundingly to at Pacific Showdown. It's going to be their hardest challenge yet, and that is in the context of a region that has actually leveled up. Even though the results might not feel like it, this has still been Talon beating the toughest local competition and still being a head and shoulders above that. The question is that truly enough to really take it to what are some of the best teams in the world?
And this whole time, it's like, you know, they may have been playing in the Pacific region professionally, but they've been practicing in Korea. They've been living in Korea. They've been training against Korea. They're
breathing Korean air.
They're
eating Korean food. Drinking Korean water.
Being amongst
all
the
those
Korean
sodas
populace.
The
point is they've really been more of a, you know, I would say Contenders Korea caliber team than say a Pacific region team because, yeah, again, they played here, but they trained there. They did everything there. They did all the stuff in Korea.
It's a lot of who they scrim.
You know, those are their partners. And, you know, yeah, I am looking forward to some of the matches coming up in Gauntlet. Clarifying Atlanta Academy is going to be one to look out for if they make it in there. And all the Korean teams, one European team that's going to be there as well. All of that good stuff coming up pretty soon as well. But in the Pacific region, I think all eyes will be resting upon, first of all, what Talon do, but then also what happens in 2020, which teams return, what new faces we get here.
Yeah.
What does the game even look like then, and will it be another dominant year for Talon?
3-2-1 lock. I don't know. And I think
one lock.
That's they just expand new roles, new horizons. But I think you actually make a valid point. They sort of touched on it earlier. What does Talon ultimately look like? Because, like I said, like any team anywhere in Tier 2, these players are looking for that Overwatch League. Look, Patapan will be back. He's too young to play in Overwatch League for a while yet, but this could also be the last time we ever see Talon in its current dominant incarnation within the region. It's also going to be the last time we see the region for the rest of this year. This is our final season of Contenders for 2019. We still get to see Talon at Gauntlet, but that's going to be us for the season. Any final thoughts?
Bring on Korea. Bring on Seoul. Let's see it.
It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure and a privilege, as always, to bring you the Pacific region in Contenders. See you next time.